along the way.
If it weren't for this car, I would never have met Bob Bondurant or Pat Bondurant or many of the car people that I now am acquaintances with.
I'm here with Ed Bobbitt, and we are in his GT40. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Carroll Shelby's car that was built for Ford Motor Company to compete with the Ferraris. And the car made its debut at Le Mans, this type of car, the Mark II, in 66, and it beat Ferrari in 66, 67, 68, 69, different versions of the same car. Mark II was the one that's in the movie Ford versus Ferrari, and they are identified by the exterior scoops you see on the side of the car. The Mark IVs and the Mark Is do not have the exterior scoops, but this car is made famous because of the movie Ford versus Ferrari. Hillbank makes 10 of these a year through a subdivision of Hillbank called Superformance. Superformance builds 6 Daytonas a year, 10 of these, and AC covers. They build 14 AC covers a month, but only 10 of these a year for worldwide sales. This one's got Shelby's autograph on the dash. It's got a Shelby VIN number. It's in the Shelby registry as an authentic 1966 because they supposedly have the same molds. Everything's original, fits on the original car. There are 3 major differences with this car that I'm aware of. One is the stiffer chassis where the engines go, because I've got 185 more horsepower than the original. The original had 465. I've got about 650. This car has competition Willwood brakes on it, so it has a much better braking system.
So one thing that I find interesting, when they build these, you're telling me shipping over from South Africa, they aren't allowed to have a drivetrain, or is it just an engine in it?
There's no drivetrain.
Okay.
You have to put the engines in them because that way there's no tax on the car. And there are groups around the United States. This one was put together in California by a group called Dynamic Auto West. The gentleman that put the engine in it gave me a list of about 50. He said, pick one. Any 289, 302, 351, 427 Ford engine or a Roush or a Coyote will fit in this car because that's the way it's set up. This car also has a built-in roll bar. That was the third thing. It's much better. This roll bar is called a monocoque chassis, and if it rolls, you're a lot safer in this car than you were in the original GT40 race cars.
Can you talk a little bit about how you got the car and the story behind that?
Well, I'm married to an angel, and I went with a Shelby race team in the 60s and 70s, and we raced a Shelby GT350, and I bought a 67 Shelby GT500. That's the car that's in the movie Gone in 60 Seconds. They call it Eleanor. Well, I owned Eleanor in 67, and I kept it, and I bought a new 69 Shelby GT500, and I kept those two and bought a 70 Shelby GT500. So my wife knows I'm a Shelby guy. I also bought a Viper because the Viper was designed by Shelby for Dodge, and I had an AC Cobra my wife bought me. I owned it 32 years. That's the original Shelby race car that he produced for racing. So I've had a lot of Shelbys, and my wife knew I liked this car, so she bought one.
Amazing.
She bought one of the 10 they made in 2011. This is one of the 10.
It was for his 75th birthday. He's got the 75 number plate on the side, which is amazing. With the classic yellow livery, it is truly beautiful. Beautiful. So obviously, this is my favorite part. Ed always talks about it, but it's a question we ask. How did you get these cars? And I think you got a one-liner that pretty much sums it up.
I married up.
There you go.
Yeah, I've been very blessed all my life. She was fortunate enough to have found this car and brought it in from California to California, where I had the engine put in. She bought me a Daytona Coupe, which is another Carroll Shelby car built off the Cobra, the original Cobra. A car designer named Peter Brock took an AC Cobra and designed it by lengthening the bodies, putting the top on the Roadster Cobras, and they put a blunt rear end on it and called it a Daytona Coupe because the first race they won, everything was Daytona. So It is a Shelby Cobra Daytona coupe. She bought me that on my 85th birthday.
And that circles back to marry up, because now you got a beautiful set of cars here. And it's just amazing seeing them. And we truly appreciate Ed, because not only do you drive the cars, you love showing off the cars and talking to people about them. I think that's something that slowly but surely is going away in the car scene, but you've made sure to hold on to that and motivate the kids whenever they see it.
That's the reason I let women and kids sit in my cars and get their pictures taken. Then I give them a Hot Wheel, many times out of this car, or Daytona, Viper, Shelby Cobra. So I give the kids cars just to keep them interested in old cars or race cars or fast cars, whatever. I've done that for the last probably 6 years. I get 100 a month.
You really?
That I give out.
Yeah, and I can tell you, like, keeping people interested. I mean, as we're driving down the road here, I have never seen so many necks break. Just rolling down. We're on Scottsdale Road right now, and it truly is amazing. Off camera about Bob Bondurant. You obviously have the signature here. Can you tell me that story again? It's amazing.
Well, I got a call one day from Pat Bondurant, Bob's wife. She explained who she was because I knew the name Bob Bondurant, but I didn't know Pat. She was asking me if I could take my car over there to their garage and put it there with an AC Cobra and Grand Sport Corvette for photographs for Sotheby's Real Estate Company, because they were selling their home in Paradise Valley. In order to find a GT40, she called the chairman of the board and the CEO of the company that built this car in South Africa. And he said, well, call Ed, he lives right there in Scottsdale. So she called me, I took the car over and left it for 4 days. And I went over on Sunday after the open houses, and Bob was there, so he sat in my car and autographed it for me. And so I got to know him pretty well. And I started visiting him about once a week in the assisted living care facilities. He had hardening of the arteries in the brain, I was told, so he couldn't do much because he was not getting enough oxygen. Bob, I would take him lunch every once in a while. I took him cookies. The first year he remembered my name. The second year I became the cookie man because not getting enough oxygen in the brain. So the nursing home gave him a flu shot and a COVID booster shot the same day, and he went into a coma and never came out of it. So Pat put a funeral together that was unreal. She had 250 invited guests. You had to have a ticket to get in, supposedly, and you had to have an assigned seat. Fortunately, my wife and I were in the front row with the designer of this car. His name is Peter Brock, and he also was given credit for designing, I believe, a split window Corvette for General Motors. So well-known guy in racing circles. Excited in town.
And I mean, that story truly is a testament to like how car culture brings everybody together. I mean, there's good and there's the ugly side of car culture, but really if you focus on things like that, you're able to get a lifelong friend out of cars.
Yep.
And really build a true relationship with somebody who you otherwise may have not ever been connected with people along the way.
If it weren't for this car, I would never have met Bob Bondurant or Pat Bondurant or many of the car people that I now am acquaintances with or friends with. So we see the same guys at a lot of the cruises and car shows. And the car community is not a close-knit, but it's a great community. There's a month. Yours is on the fourth
Saturday. Yep.
Yeah, all right.
There you go.
Shanty to be there.
Exactly. We always love having that out. Puts a smile on everybody's face. So last question, and this is something you can kind of elaborate on however you'd like, but Pablo and I, being younger guys, we always try to take a piece of advice from somebody who's lived a fruitful, full life. What would that one piece of advice be from you?
It's funny you ask, because I deal with a lot of people at the car shows and cruises because of the car. And if I find a young kid who's maybe just getting his first car, the parents are usually with him. I will tell the kid, your car and your bedroom represent who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep your car clean and make sure you keep your bedroom clean, because that's representing you as a person.
Of course.
The kids all look at me kind of funny, and the parents are back there going, "Yay!"
The parents love it up there.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. But I give out Hot Wheels all the time, and part of the reason is I try to do something to help somebody every day. Every day, I make it a point to do something to help somebody that's less fortunate than I am. From picking up trash in our neighborhood, which I'm known for, to my wife and I take a 94-year-old gentleman to brunch every Sunday after church.
That's amazing.
Because he lives by himself. Right now, I just got him to go into an assisted living here himself. He's 94, has one living relative on Earth. So we go to every Sunday, pick him up, and take him to brunch. So just helping other people who are less fortunate than we are.
And it really makes life full. I mean, if you're 1% better, do 1% more each day, everything becomes so much happier, and you can wake up looking forward to something, and it really seems like that's the case for you. Every time we get together, I mean, there's a smile on your face. There's always a new joke that you have, and it really makes everybody around you so happy to be around you.
My father's best friend made a comment to me when I was about in the 3rd grade, and I never forgot it, and I've heard it since. He said, I felt sorry for myself because I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet.
Yep.
And that stuck with me. I always had shoes, I had feet, I had everything I could ever want. I always had a roof over my head. And my parents were not rich. He was a factory worker, made $1.10 an hour back then. So I was always better off than somebody. I've always tried to help people who are less fortunate than I am. But I have my feet. Have my shoes.
That's amazing. That really is. Well, I think that's a great note to end it on. I really appreciate you doing this.
You just wanted to ride in a GT.
Exactly. He got me. That's all it was. So I'm glad I got the ride. No, but I really do appreciate it. It's always good talking to you.
You're welcome, Taylor. You're one of the great car guys.
I appreciate it.
Except for Pablo.
It's okay.
Hi, Pablo.